Hi friends, welcome to the next session on programming made easy. Specifically, we are discussing about VC++ MFC programming. So myself, Santosh Avalamurthy. So today we are going to see message maps, a very important topic when we are discussing VC++ MFC programming. Before I get into the details, why I have written similar to our brain functionality. So let's understand that, then understanding message maps will be very easy for you. Now let's see how our brain works. For any event, we have set of instructions recorded in our brain, correct? When you say eat, that is a trigger. So there are set of functions or set of actions, they are recorded in our brain. When we say sleep, there is a set of actions, they are recorded in our brain. Basically, for an event, set of actions are mapped, and every time that event occurs, those instructions will be executed. And message maps are no different from this. Now, what is a message map? A message map, why it came into existence? First of all, Windows is a message-oriented operating system. So if you study about Windows specifically, it mainly works with the help of messages. Or basically it's a way of communication between the various components in Windows OS. Not only at OS level, whatever the programs that we develop on top of Windows, they also use the messages for their functionality and also for talking to other applications. So a large portion of programming for the Windows environment involves message handling. So whatever happens, whatever the event you are capturing, whatever the functionalities that are happening within the OS or within your application is because of some message. So when we say programming for Windows, basically we are handling the messages which are either sent from the OS, which are either sent from your application, or either the messages which are sent from other application to your application. So each time an event such as keystroke or a mouse click occurs, a message is sent to the application which must then handle the event. Like our brain is programmed for every action. Same way, so whenever something happens in your application, a message is sent which you have to handle if you want to handle that particular event. Like here, some of the examples are given, like you will type something in your controls. That is some event. You will click on a menu. That is an event. You click on a combo box or edit box. That is an event. So for everything, the messages will be sent, and your program should decide which messages you are interested and which message you want to handle. So your program need not handle every messages that are generated. We have to handle only those messages which we need to handle. So MFC offers a programming model optimized for message-based programming, and that is nothing but a message map. So what message map contains? It contains one or more macros that specify which messages will be handled by which functions. So basically, there are set of macros which we can use to make our life of handling messages very easy. So here we are basically talking about the mapping between your event and what should happen when that event occurs. Means basically there is a message which comes to your program and you write a set of instructions that have to be executed when that particular message comes. So message map helps us in this particular process. Now let's see some of the message map declarations which are used to use the message map, to use the messages. So basically we are talking about the macros here which we have to include in our program so that your program will be able to handle the messages. So first macro is called declare message map. So this indicates that this particular class uses the messages. So means in this particular class, whichever the class you are adding this macro, it means that this class handles some messages. So this declare message map, we need to add it to our declaration file, which is nothing but header file or the file with .h extension. Remember, in my previous session, that is the class hierarchy, we told or we came to know that whenever we declare or create a class in MFC, it is always two files. One is the declaration file, another one is the implementation file. So in the declaration file, we need to add this line declare message map. And in our implementation files, there are two macros which will be used. One is begin message map and next is end message map. So in the begin message map, basically it begins the definition of a message map and it must be used in our implementation file. That means our CPP file. The syntax for begin message map is begin message map, your current class and its base class. For example, if it is your view class, your own view class, the base class would be either C view or C form view or C scroll view which you have created, right? And one more important thing is whatever the messages that you are going to handle, those messages should be added within this begin message map and end message map. So shortly we'll be seeing in the code how this happens. End message map ends the definition of a message map and again it will be used in the implementation file. So begin message map, end message map, they are used in the implementation file. Declare message map is used in the declaration file. So please keep this in mind. Now we will see some of the important message mapping macros which are provided by MFC. So one is on command. So this is basically a command message to member function and this on command we use for menus, toolbars and accelerator keys. Now what is accelerator key? In many applications you might have seen under a menu a particular letter will be underscored. Okay, that means if you click, for example, I have file menu. In that, F will be with an underscore, and under that I will have N, new. N will be with underscore. So if you do Alt Fn, then that menu will be activated. Okay, that is called accelerator key. Basically, it is a key which you can press to open that menu and to even click a particular menu. So in case of menus, toolbars and accelerator keys, we use the message on command. On control, this is used to handle the messages which are sent from a control to its parent window. For example, I have a dialog. In the dialog, I have added many controls. I may have a button, I may have an edit box, I may have a combo box, right? So when these controls send the message to the parent window, that is the dialog, if you want to handle that message, we'll be using on control messages. On message, so this is basically used when we want to handle user defined messages. Now what is user defined messages? There are set of messages which are defined by the OS. There are set of messages which are defined by the controls. Now, if we want to define our own message, there may be many instances where you want to send a message from one module of your application to another module of your application. Or you may have to send messages from one application to other application. So in that case, we can define our own messages, and those messages can be handled, and you can write a program for that particular message. So I have a sample application where we can see how to define a user defined message and how to handle it. So these messages, user defined messages, will be in the range of WM underscore user and WM underscore app. So you can use any message within this range to define your own messages. Next is on update command UI. This is called from on idle. On idle means what? When you are not doing anything within the application, then that is called as idle condition, and that also generates an event. Okay. So on update command UI we can use in the scenarios where you want to enable or disable the state of a menu or a toolbar items. So in many cases, you might have seen in many applications where some of the menus will be disabled initially, and based on some condition that menu will get enabled. So when you want to do this enabling and disabling of the menus and toolbars, then we go for on update command UI messages. On command range. So this is also quite useful message where you want to write a single function to handle multiple command IDs. For example, you think of a menu, a sub-menu basically, where you have 10 options. I'll give you a simple example. Suppose I have an application and I have given a menu to change the background. So I have given multiple colors like red, green, blue, white, yellow, etc. So I can write individual functions for each of these menus, like red color, one function, blue color, one function, green color, one function. So if I have 10 items, menu items, 10 color options, I need to write 10 functions. But basically, they all do similar operation, only that they are setting different background color. Instead, with the help of on command range, I can write one single function and I can handle the click of any of these menu items. So that is when we use on command range, where you have a range of command IDs. So range means they should be in the order. So that time I can use a single function to handle all these items. That is possible with the help of on command range. Similarly, we also have on update command UI range, where you can use it to update the state of menu items and toolbar items, like enabling or disabling. You want to check or uncheck these kind of operations. We can also use on update command UI range, right? So here this on command is linked with on update command UI, and on command range is linked with on update command UI range. So on command and on update command UI, it is for single menu item, single uh, menu or single toolbar button, whereas on command range and on update command UI range, they can be used for a range of IDs. I hope this section is clear. If you have doubt, go through this again to understand these message mapping macros. So we'll be seeing some of these messages in the sample code. Now, how this message map works in case of a document view architecture? Because in case of document view architecture, there are many classes, right? So what are the classes involved in a document view architecture? Please refer to my previous session on document view architecture to understand the classes which are involved. Okay, so I've given the link for that video in the description. So please go through that to understand document view architecture. Now, in case of a view class, I would have derived my own view class with the base class as CView. Now, in case of document view architecture, basically, if your one class doesn't handle that message, you can handle the message in the upper class. Okay, if we don't handle anywhere, it goes to the C object, and that is where the message will be ignored. So you can write your message handling function in any of these hierarchical functions to handle it. Now suppose my view class is see my view, and if I don't handle a particular message, and if it is an important message to be handled, if I don't write any function in see my view, it will be handled in C view. If it is not handled in C view, it will be handled in CVint. If it is not handled in CVint, it goes to C command target, and then it goes to C object, right? So that is the hierarchy. Similarly, if you talk about document class or FrameWint class, so for all that there is a specific hierarchy where that particular message will be handled. So more on document view architecture, refer to my video. Also, to understand what is the class hierarchy in MFC, I've also done a video on class hierarchy, so refer to that video also. I've given the description for both these videos. I've given the link for these videos in my description. So go through the description and go through the videos to understand more on the document view architecture and the class hierarchy in MFC. Next, now let us examine some of the code, how actually the message map works. So here I have my application. This is the SDI application, which is a document view architecture, basically. Now here I've written code already so that it will be easy for us to understand the code. Now first thing is, so let us go to, this is my C mainframe. This is the implementation file. So I'll go to the header file. So now let's see the macros. So you can see here first, this is my declare message map. Okay, declare message map is there in my header file. Then we have begin message map and end message map in our implementation file. So in the begin message map, so we have the current class name and its base class. So within begin message map and end message map, all the messages that you are going to handle, or that we are going to process, that will be defined within our begin message map and end message map. Now the messages that start with WM, those are all the Windows messages, and you can see here on command and on command range. So this is the event which we are handling here. So on command is for a single menu. So I've added a menu with the ID test user message. So where do you see the menu? So go to resource view, and here you can see the menu here which we have created, ID or mainframe. So this is the menu which I've added, and this is my pop-up menu, sub menu. Basically you can see here multiple menus are added: menu 1, menu 2, menu 3, menu 4, and also I've added a menu called user message. Okay, so here I have written on command range for all these menus which are defined here, menu 1 to menu 4. So for all these 4 menus, I have written a single function that is called as on range commands. And for the single menu, that is ID, this is the test user message. So this is to test my user message. This is a single menu for which we have added on command message. So basically, if you see on command, you will be having the ID and what is the function name. And on command range, you are having ID 1, first ID, last ID, and then what is the function which is handling this message. So the function has to be defined in our declaration file also. So you can see here, these are the functions on range commands on my message. And also to define the user message, so I have declared my own message called as wm underscore my message. The ID is wm underscore user plus 100. Now to handle this message, I have written on message macro we have used here, and this is my message name, and this is the function which is handling the message. I hope this is clear. Basically we are handling here on command range, and then also on message. Now let's see the functions here. Now if you go to on range command function, so when you have multiple IDs, the ID whichever is clicked, that ID will be passed as an input to the function where you can handle your you can write your code to handle that particular ID. So basically what I'm doing here, the ID whichever is clicked, we are setting it as a radio button item. Okay, so the one which is clicked, that will get enabled, checked. Basically it will be checked, and the others will be, there will not be any checkbox, right? Now on test user message, this is our on command. So here what I'm actually doing, I'm sending the message wm underscore my message, and I'm handling that message here, where I'm simply putting a message box. Now in MFC, to put the message box, you can use the function AFX message box and the text that you want to display in the message box. There is other functions also called as message box, which gives you much more options to show a message. Like you can even show some kind of whether it's a warning message, or is it a okay message or error message. That kind of options are available if you use message box function. So FX message box, it's more like a global function. You can just use it to display any text. Okay, so now we will see the working of this particular activity for particular code here. So this is the menu which we have added. You can see this is the command range menus. So for all these menus, one single function is written. You click on that, any menu that will be, the radio button will be set. If I click on menu 4, and menu 4, the radio button will be set. Basically, it's kind of radio button where only one will be enabled. So this function when you handle, so let's see the breakpoint. If you put the breakpoint here, let's see what will happen. I will start the application in the debug mode. Then you can see when you click on these, any of these menu, the breakpoint comes here, right? So similarly, let me put the breakpoint here and breakpoint here. Okay. Right. Now I'll click on user message. This is my on command. So it goes to on command, where I'm simply sending a message to say WMI message. Now what will happen immediately when this code is run, this function will also be called. Okay, the message box gets displayed, right? I hope this code is understood. It's clear for all of you. Basically here where we are handling on command range, and on message. These three we have handled. Now coming to the next section, like control, like how to handle the control messages which are sent from a control to its parent window. So this is a dialog based application in which I have added an edit box. So this is the default dialog which gets created. We have simply added a edit box here, and for this edit box I have added a member variable. So for this edit box, we are handling the event called as on end change. This is an event which gets created or which is given by edit box. So whenever you type something, this event gets activated. And what I'm simply doing here, I am putting a trace message, like what is the text that is typed by the user. So whenever the control sends the message, that we are handling in the parent window here. So let's see the working of this. So to add any event to your class, the easiest way is you can use it using the class wizard. So what we have done is we have added the event, and then we are seeing how this event works. Okay, so basically whenever the text changes, it comes to this function, and then that total text typed by the user we are displaying to the output window. So what is trace? So refer to my debugging video on trace, what trace does. Okay, so let me run the application here. So you can see the output window here. As I'm typing, the message is displayed to the output window. Basically the event we are handling, and we are displaying it here. So I'm just typing my name, and you can see that name is printed here. So this is how we can handle the message which is sent from the control. Okay. So I hope all this handling the messages are clear for you. So let's get back to the presentation. Now we'll see some of the interview questions. So message map is a very important topic for the interview. Whether you take the interview or give the interview, you must be thorough with message map. Okay, because no MFC interview will be over without asking questions on MFC message map. Sorry. So what is a message map? Basically, message map is a mechanism of routing messages to their handling functions. So what are the macros used to implement message map that we have seen? Declare message map, begin message map, and end message map. Declare message map is used in the declaration file. Begin message map, end message map, they are used in the implementation file. Okay, which message is to be handled for menus and toolbars? So the answer is, if it is a single menu, okay, we are talking about single menu or single toolbar button, the answer is on command. Which message is to be handled for user defined messages? So the message that we have to use is on message. So which message is to be handled when control sends the message to its parent? So this is basically a control message. The answer is on control, right? So the one we saw, that is the handling the message of read box, that is an example for on control. Next, which message is to be handled when we want to write single function to multiple menu items? This is multiple menu items, and the answer is on command range. Now what is the hierarchy of the message routing for a CView? Basically your view class, then CView, wind, frame wind, and C object if your base class is CView. Next, what is the advantage of message map over virtual function? So this is a very common question which comes when question comes about message map. Now what message map does? Message map avoids writing virtual function for each of the message, which otherwise creates a large vtable. So you think of a condition where there are so many Windows messages, and if you write a virtual function for each of the message, we'll end up with thousands of virtual functions. Okay, so message map so helps us to avoid this, and you only handle the message what is required for you to handle. So this is a very important question for any interview. Now coming to the assignment, so what you need to do, you can create SDI, MDI, and a dialog based application, and check within the code what are the various macros with respect to message map that are used. Okay, and by default some messages will be already added by the project template. So just see what are the messages that are created between the begin message map and end message map. Also you can see a default code is also added for those functions. So just go through the code, become familiar where to declare the message map, where to add the message map, how to add a particular message if you want to handle. So I hope all of you like the video and you have got a lot of information about the message map today. Again, it's very similar to our brain. The functions or the activities are mapped within the brain for a particular event. So it's very similar to that. When an event occurs, your function is called where you have written set of instructions. So I hope you like the content of the video. So please like it, comment it, so give me suggestions how I can improve more in this particular training videos. Share it, subscribe it. If you are not already subscribed, click on the bell icon to get the notification. So last but not least, thank you for watching and thank you for all the encouragement I'm getting. Keep encouraging me to get more and more videos. So thank you so much for watching. See you again for the next video.